I know I already tweeted this, but my one-word review of this movie... Disappointed! Ugh. Everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it's time for another episode of Rachel Reviews, so let's just hop into it. If I haven't mentioned it already, I was so disappointed by Venom. Disappointed! When the first trailer for this movie dropped, I was hyped. I love Spider-Man so much, and my favorite villain from the Spider-Verse has always been Venom. Eddie Brock is addicted to the Venom suit, and it is eating him up inside. It is practically the perfect recipe for a compelling villain. We were all incredibly irritated with how little screen time Venom had in Spider-Man 3 back in 2007, and we all thought that his character was so good he deserved his own movie. And oh my gosh, we found out he was getting one and we were so excited. The first trailer, okay, it looks decent if not badass. But then the second trailer dropped. Like a bird in the wind. Oh god. So I knew going into this movie that it wasn't going to be particularly good, but I was curious as to what exactly caused this movie to get a 31% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Oof, that bad, huh? Well, now I gotta see it and find out. In the movie, we meet Eddie Brock, played by Tom Hardy, an investigative journalist who's suspicious of the Life Foundation, which he believes is conducting illegal experiments. Through a series of missteps, he's fired from his job. Before long, though, a doctor from the Life Foundation seeks out Eddie to help expose the Foundation's illegal experiments, and this leads to Eddie coming in contact with the symbiote, and of course, he becomes Venom. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this isn't so bad. The film was paced well, the acting was good, there were clear and relatable motivations, decent setups and payoffs, and when Venom attaches itself to Eddie, there was also some fun, if not silly, action sequences. So the movie's fine starting off, but with one exception. The bad guy is so cartoony. The evil corporation is doing evil things and we're gonna take down anyone and anything that even tries to stop us. Okay, it wasn't exactly like that, but that is how it felt given the subtext. The science and proceedings are just bullshit, and the main antagonist of the film is not threatening, he's not intimidating, and he's not even over-the-top psychotic. So, in other words, he was just dull and boring, and I don't care. And the villain antagonist person, I don't remember his name, was played by Riz Ahmed, who was in the movie Rogue One, you know, the guy who was the coward turned hero, and he's clearly a really good actor, but I just don't care about his character's plans or motivations, mostly because they just really don't make any sense and don't seem to have a huge impact. I mean, even when he straight up kills people, I just don't care. Which is probably because he was just set up so poorly and Riz Ahmed really didn't have that much to work with, so it's really not his fault that this is such a terrible antagonist. Also, when you come down to it, Eddie and this villain barely spend any time together in the movie. Only in the very beginning and the very end. That's the only time that they have screen time together. I mean, just how am I supposed to care about a hero trying to fight this villain when they just don't even really interact with each other? But despite all of that, I still thought that the movie did start off okay, despite the really vague and boring corporation and some kind of weird editing choices. Because about a third of the way into the movie, I remember thinking to myself, okay, so when is it supposed to get really bad here? Also, just putting this out there, I actually do like how Eddie and Venom communicate with each other. Eddie is of course the only one who can hear Venom in his head, and the way that they did it in this movie was actually executed pretty well. And Venom, as I'm sure you saw in the trailers, does still look really great in this movie. When he was on screen, he was damn intimidating, and I was so glad that we got more time with him than we did in Spider-Man 3. And I thought that Tom Hardy, as always, did a fantastic job, and I didn't have a problem believing in the chemistry between him and Michelle Williams, and also understanding that his character had a great passion for his work. And when Venom is taking over, Eddie does do some kind of silly and over-the-top things, but it wasn't to the point where it was just so out there that you completely checked out. Again, it felt like it was okay. But then we got to the halfway point and things just spiraled out of control from there. Oh my god! Basically, what they decide to focus on in this movie is that Venom is not villain in any way, shape, or form, or the least bit compelling, he's just an anti-hero now. And while Venom is definitely taking over and controlling Eddie on some level, they also just start doing this thing where they're like fighting back and forth with each other. Hey, we can't do that! That's not okay!
Is this okay?
No!
How about this?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
Why? Is this supposed to be like how he's like helplessly addicted to it? Cause this is just so lame! Why are you doing this, movie? Oh, and oh my god, the dialogue just gets so terrible. I think I really lost it, especially when Venom said,
I'm kind of a loser where I come from, Eddie.
what are we doing here, guys? Cause I just really don't understand what you're trying to do with this character. And it just gets stupider and sillier after that. Venom and Eddie try to stop the bad guy from doing something super evil, but I just had no excitement for this climax whatsoever. The stakes on paper feel like they should be high, but just watching this movie, there felt like no urgency for it. And did I mention that I could care less about what the villain's trying to do? This whole movie, it's kind of like that family vacation that you take where everything starts all fine and cool in the beginning and it's not super exciting, but at least you're happy to be together. But then halfway through the trip, someone says or does something really stupid and it just kind of spirals and gets uncomfortable and weird after that, and it's just full of regrets. That's this movie! And this obviously wasn't the one big problem with the movie, but why wasn't it rated R? This is Venom, one of the most violent and complex villains or anti-heroes or whatever you want to call him ever. If this movie wanted to have the Venom that we know and crave, it had to be more violent. It also had to go deeper into the psyche of Venom being inside Eddie's head. We needed a much more complex and interesting villain. We needed to see Eddie's addiction to its power, and it needed to not feel so constrained and restricted. This was a terribly written movie, especially in the second part, and I am just so disappointed by the outcome of this movie. I'll be honest, I'm still a little surprised that it got 31%, and I do think that it definitely deserves a higher rating than the Angry Birds movie, but it still completely ruined my expectations and hopes that Sony could deliver a decent Venom film. It wasn't anywhere near as good as it should have been, and I can't believe I fell for it again. I really should learn my lesson by now. I have said this. Don't trust Sony, kids. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me more than twice, Venom. You want to see some decent action with Venom? Go for it, fine. But other than that, this movie is a complete waste of time and a complete waste of the talent involved. Oh, and you better believe it that they do set up a mid-credits scene for a sequel, and I don't know, maybe if the movie makes enough money, they will, and maybe they'll learn their lesson the second time around. But I kind of doubt it. So those are my unfortunate thoughts on Venom. So now I want to know, guys, what did you think of the movie? Let me know. Was there anything redeeming about this? Did you enjoy it more than I did? And if not, what did you really hate about this movie? Also, let me know, what villains or anti-heroes do you want to see get their own movie? And are there any other movies coming out soon that you want me to review? Well, go ahead and leave your comments below. Be sure to like and share. And if you're new and like what you saw here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And also be sure to hit the little bell button down there to get notified when new stuff comes out, because I make new videos every week. Bye, Adorkable Buddies. I'll see you soon. And don't trust Sony, kids.